Hello, my name is Kurt Phillips, and I'd like to show you a little bit of string manipulation with Excel, um, specifically using the find, mid, and if error functions. So you see here I've got a report 702391, and it is filled with numbers, and there are some periods between some of the numbers. Some of these numbers don't have periods at all, and some have 1 and 2 and so forth. So let's say that we wanted to get all of the numbers between two periods, such as 48944423 is set up right here. We can use Excel functions to do that fairly quickly. So I'm going to show you how to do it using find, mid, and if error. The first thing I'll do is find where the first period is. This can all be done to get the 48944423 in one shot, but I'm going to break it into different columns just so you can get a good feel for what's happening and understand how to utilize these functions on your own. So the first thing I'll do is I will find the first dot in A2. This 8 means that that dot shows up in the 8th spot. If you count the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that 8th spot is the character where the dot was found. Now I want to adjust this a little bit. I'm going to put if error, then what? Then let's make this blank. And there would be an error if no dots were here to be found. I'm going to double click this corner here to copy that formula down. I'll show you there are 3,000 rows of these numbers, so we want to copy it down quickly all the way just like that. Now the next step is to find a second dot if there is one, and of course we know there's one in this second row here. So to do that, I'm going to do a pretty similar formula to the first one. Let's see, it's going to be finding a dot within A2, but this time we're not going to start at the beginning or else we'd get that 8 again, finding the first dot. So what we've got to do is start on the 9th character to see if it's a dot or if somewhere further along is another second dot. So to do that I'm going to reference B2 plus 1 so that we start looking on the 9th character, and if this gives me an error because there is no second dot, I don't want to see any errors show up, so I'm going to use two quotes to have nothing show up in that case. So you can see where the two dots are if you look at each row that actually has a value for each of these, and I'll show you what would happen if we didn't have if error here also. I'll just copy that down a little bit. So you can see there's a value error in that situation. Okay, we know where our dots are. Now how do we get the 4894423 out of there? That's what I'm going to do in the next column here. What we want to do is take the middle of the initial string. We want to start it at the 9th character. In this situation, it's right after the first dot. I'm sorry, before we start it, we want to choose which text we're looking at. But then we're going to start it right after that first dot, so it's going to be after B2 plus 1 for the 9th character. And how many characters we want is a little tricky. We want between the second and the first dot. So what we're going to do is take C2, the 16th place, minus B2, but we don't want to include the 16th spot, or there's going to be a dot at the end of this middle section. So we're going to subtract one character from that output. Now if you look here, we've got the 4894423, which is the same as what's in between the dots here, 4894423. And let's just add an if error on here to be safe. copy that down. So anywhere there's 2 dots, we are going to have a number in the D column. Now, we've gotten our answer here, and we can filter this and filter out all the spaces. Let's see, with a data filter, scroll to the bottom of the filter and you see blanks, and we'll take that right out. And there's all your answers. I'm going to turn off that filter and see how we could have done this formula, this one, and this one all in one go, so you don't have to use so many columns. And the way to do that is to set up for errors. Then we're going to do a middle from A2. To find the starting point, we want to find that first dot within the A2 text, and +1 because we don't want to include the dot. For the number of characters, we want to once again find the second dot from A2, text A2, but the start number is going to be 1 character after the first dot, which is found in A2. So that first dot +1, and that gives us the second dot, but that's not where the actual number of characters we want to use. That would give us 16 characters, so it would be all the way from the beginning to the period. But what we actually want to do is subtract the first dot and the extra 1 character so that we don't end up with any dots in the middle of our string. So what we subtract is going to be the location of the first dot. Hopefully remember that's the dot in A2 minus 1 character. Make sure you get the right amount of parentheses in here. This double quotes is what we want to see if there's an error. There. So that formula gives you the same result as the initial formula, but you can get the whole result in one column. Now I'll copy this down, and you see it matches up. To test if things match up, you can do something like this. See that they're equal. You could copy that down. You might also like to know which row each of these is on. If you wanted that, you could use this function here. And then when you filter this column, get rid of the blanks and you'll see which row everything's on. You'll have it match up with the row number. So 2, 10, 14, 16. You see it matches up. That is how to use the mid, if error, and find functions to pull out the middle of a string. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave any feedback below. Thank you.